Good morning, guys. I have not even done an intro, but I wanted to at least show my breakfast. I'm just assembling my morning toast. Oh, not the prettiest sound. I'm so excited to eat this. This is my current fixation breakfast. It's sourdough toast. Everything's from Trader Joe's, but it's their sourdough toast. And then I put avocado with a little bit of garlic salt and pepper, and then feta eggs, and then balsamic glaze. And then I have some peanut butter and jelly toast, and then some yogurt with this granola right here. Oh my goodness, you cannot beat it. So this is my breakfast, pretty big breakfast. It's noon. After this, I'm gonna go shower and get ready, and then we can catch up. Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Today's video is gonna be so fun. I'm actually sitting in the parking lot waiting to pick up Ava. Ava's one of my really close, amazing best friends. She's literally the best, and she's been in quite a few of my videos. I feel like I met her at the end of 2020. Oh my gosh, it's been a long time. Anyway, and then I visited her in Washington, DC. Anyway, and she's just such a good conversationalist, and I thought it would be a really fun video idea if we just had a nice chit chat about her experiences living in Utah, my experiences growing up in Utah, because she's not from here, just college life update. So just pretty much a Q&A video, life update, but with Ava. So I thought that'd be super fun. We're gonna go get drinks. Here's my outfit of the day. I'm wearing my sweater. This is from Joe West, which maybe I'll give some updates about Joe West because I'm so sad about that as of right now. But so sweaters from Joe West, and then wearing this vest from H&M, some jeans. But should I put on my hazards? So yeah, it's gonna be like a mukbang. We're gonna get drinks and just talk about life. So I'm so excited. Today's video is actually, I was supposed to film yesterday. So I only have class on Tuesdays and Thursdays in person, which is actually super nice. But so yesterday I was supposed to film a day in my life at school, whatever. And I was supposed to wake up at 6, but then I didn't roll out of bed till 7. And then I had to leave because I have class at 8:30, and then just all this different stuff. I totally spaced even bringing my camera to school. So by the time I got home, which was closer to 5 p.m., I was like, it's literally dark outside. I can't film a school video. So that's when this video idea was born. Can I lock the door now? And I guess I come home now. You guys are really asking the juicy questions already. I'm reading these. Wow, people are funny. Okay. Someone asked, do you think you're a less intense Mormon? Is getting married something on your radar? As a Christian, do you ever feel empty inside? Have you ever had a huge faith crisis? You guys are asking juicy stuff. How did you meet your boyfriend? Ooh, I'll talk about that one. How did you meet your boyfriend? A lot of people asking that. You guys are asking fun questions already, so this will be a good video. Ava, where are you? Oh, she's coming. She's adorable. She's in a cute white puffer. I made a vision board for 2024, which I've done for the past couple, I did at the beginning of 2023, and then I did it halfway through 2023, and I did it again, and I love it because I feel like it's really helped me to reach my goals because I can see them. Ava's coming! I'm sorry I'm making you trudge through the snow.
No, it's totally fine.
You want to go get swig?
Yes.
Okay. We have Ava here. Hi. You can adjust the camera over you like. Okay. But we're gonna give you guys a little mukbang of the things we ordered from Swig. Okay, if you guys know who Hallie Sandberg is? She's she's adorable. She recommended this on her story and it looked really good, so I'm trying it out. But it's the strawberry breeze with mango puree and frozen mangoes, and then sparkling water.
Yeah, mine is just a fruit water. I kind of wish I would have gotten something like yours, but
that looks really fancy.
It still has coconut and stuff in it. Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Want you guys to feel included?
Do you think Swig will go nationwide? I feel like everyone's just creating different franchises.
Yeah. I feel like it's hard to trademark an idea that's just soda.
Ava and I were just talking about, which pretty much long story short, a friend of a friend invited me to her birthday party to be a special guest. And it was seriously one of the most awkward things in my life.
It wasn't to be a special guest. It was to meet me.
It was to meet Ava, but the way the situation was worded, I felt like I was just making an appearance, at her birthday party, Mickey Mouse or something. And I remember feeling so awkward.
Not Mickey Mouse.
But it ended up being such a good experience that obviously we met at the end of 2021. It's now 2024. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's crazy.
Okay, pretzel bite going in. I got
going in.
First things first. What are you studying?
I'm studying public relations at BYU, which is communications.
I'm studying family science at UVU, but I finished with my associate's degree this semester, at the end of this semester. So my plan right now, it's very up in the air because it just depends on where I get accepted, but is to finish my associate's degree and then try to transfer to the family science program at BYU. So we'll see what happens.
I'm so excited.
Go
Go Cougs.
We'll see, because
Wise up.
I feel like I'm in this family science program currently at UVU because it's like an integrated program. You don't have to finish your associates before you start. But so that's Ava's at BYU. I'm at UVU. I've grown up in Utah and she hasn't, and so we have like I feel like different perspectives for living here.
And I came to Utah specifically to go to BYU.
Specifically.
Yeah, and like that was a big transition, but like I loved BYU enough and wanted to go there for school enough to be like, okay, I'll move across the country. So
That'd be honestly terrifying.
It
like,
honestly it was a little bit.
You're literally going across the country to a place but you had grown up visiting, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but still, I mean, like moving across the country to go to school, like, because that's 4 years of your life for sure that you're like won't be at home.
Yeah, and also knowing I didn't have the option to just like drive home on a weekend, that was hard.
Well, and I feel like with that, like I even just living in Thailand for the semester, I feel like it was easier living there than the first couple months living in Provo.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was like, it was better that I couldn't just go home, so I had to make do. I'm like, I'm here, I got to make it work. Versus
That's very true.
Even just living in Provo, I was like 15 minutes away from home, so I feel like at every minor inconvenience, like I was getting in the car and going home. So I feel like there's this weird, like, there's pros and cons of like living far.
Definitely.
Have you ever dated a missionary? We're gonna start talking about Utah culture. Okay, I've said okay 9 times. I'm not functioning. Growing up in Utah, I feel like people often refer to it as like a bubble, which I agree. I feel like Utah is very much a bubble with the culture, and what I mean by that is like Utah is so unique from, I feel like, a lot of, because every place has a culture. Like, no matter where you go, like, there's going to be a culture, there's going to be, like, norms for, like, the area that you live in. But Utah's is just so unique and seems so foreign to a lot of other places that's why I feel like it's often referred to as a bubble, because it's, like, if you've never left Utah, then you really don't have, like, an accurate perception of what the world is like.
And there are a decent amount of people who, like, born, raised, live forever in Utah.
And don't leave.
And don't leave. Like, I think that's unique to other places, that it's, like, you know, if you're raised in a small town,
like, you kind of branch out.
But, like, it's, like, the whole state. Like, there's a lot of people that love Utah enough to never want to leave. Yeah,
and so it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't travel often and your parents and all of your extended family live here, like you don't leave. Yeah. You know? So I feel like with that being said, I acknowledge that it is true that Utah is a bubble, but this is my hot take is I appreciate it for that though.
Yeah.
All of my extended family was from California. So we'd always grow up visiting like road trips out there because my parents grew up there and then our grandparents were still there, but my dad ended up coming out to Utah for BYU actually. And they were only planning on staying for the 4 years to get his like bachelor's, and then they ended up staying. It's been like 26 years now. So
that's crazy.
The reason why they stayed was because it was very family oriented, and while they were trying to raise a family, they just felt like it was safer to like do it in Utah.
Yeah.
But I feel like, so growing up, like we had the opportunity to go to California on road trips like occasionally, and not that like I've had like super insane traveling experiences, but like because like I had started my YouTube channel, my sister and I and my mom had very frequent opportunities to like go to New York, go to LA, go to Texas, go to Canada, go to all these different places. And then eventually as I got older, like even traveling out of the country, it more and more I was like, wow, like Utah is definitely, it's very unique, like the way the culture is. But I feel like I often enjoyed coming back home to it because I knew it was a place of safety and it was also like home.
Yeah.
You know, no matter if I'd grown up in Georgia or in Minnesota, like I'm sure home is still home for anyone. So I feel like I can recognize the bubble, but in a way it became like a safe place of like, I can leave my bike out on my front lawn and like, no, it's going to still be in the morning. It's going to still be there in the morning, you know? And that was kind of refreshing. So that was my opinion. But, for you, when you came to Utah, do you feel like there was any things that like shocked you the most or like you expected?
Yeah, I mean, there was a decent amount of culture shock. I grew up pretty close to like a city, and I think that was something I was really used to, was a lot of like culture in that way. And you meet a lot of people with very similar like interests and styles, and like there's a lot of lack of diversity, and not even in like a bad way, and not even referring to like race, but like
even just the way people like personality. There's a lack of like personality diversity.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like I feel like I blend right into it, so it's like obviously
there's like certain stereotypes of people in Utah, but I do feel like those categories are accurate. Like a lot of people here are really outdoorsy because there's like mountains and so many things to do, you know, and like a lot of people here are really into like fashion and looking great, like, and
at all times, even just going to Target.
No, seriously, like you walk around here and people are they're just
beautiful
and they look good. And then like, so I think there's just more stereotypes, and they're kind of accurate sometimes, versus like in DC, I think you just meet a lot more different people, but it's not necessarily bad. Like, I really liked coming here and feeling like I met a lot of people who were similar to me religiously and also interest-wise, but I also met a lot of people who were really different from me, who like grew up in Utah, and we just understood things differently because what we've experienced.
For sure, yeah. So that's kind of the context of like living in Utah in the bubble. So, I mean, if you guys didn't know, Ava and I are both members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so that's the dominant religion here in Utah. And a lot of people know it as being Mormon, which Mormon's a nickname. And I feel like, I don't know how you view it now, but if anyone refers to me as like, oh, you're Mormon, I feel like it feels slightly derogatory.
It definitely has come to have a negative connotation
when people say it. But I don't think people are ever mean to be offensive by saying it. It's just that they don't know that that's not the actual name of like our church. It's a nickname.
And like being a Christian religion, the biggest thing is like keeping Christ in the name, and so that when you're talking about the church, people know that
we worship Christ.
Yeah, we believe in Christ, and that's the center of our religious ideals.
I feel like, once again, another rarity of like Utah is that so many people are part of the same religion. Like, it's not just different Christian denominations, like it's literally the same church. That creates even more like less diversity, a lot more stereotypes, and a lot more of like very distinct cultural norms. So anyway, but we are gonna kind of talk about some of that, just, and also some life updates. But one of the first questions,
it's cool to see the diversity of the questions though, because I think it shows like at this point in our life we're dealing with a lot of things,
a lot of different things.
And, I mean, and I bet people can relate to that, like being in your 20s. Are we both 21? Or you're 20, I'm 21. But like, you're kind of dealing with your religious beliefs, your beliefs about the world. You're going to college, you're living on your own. Like, there's just a lot of separate issues. Like, dating, and I mean, people are asking about Accutane, and like, it's true though, you get to this point in your life and you have a lot on your plate and a lot of issues that you're worried about, and you have to kind of address all of them and prioritize them, but it's,
and like figure it and navigate it all out. People refer to, I mean, I've heard in like talks and just that this is the decade of decisions, and like you're constantly just like making decisions that honestly have a lot of impact on the trajectory of your life, which can feel so overwhelming when you're just like fresh out of high school. You're like, what do you mean I got to choose a career? Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
But it's the nice thing about that is like life doesn't happen all at once. It's just a day at a time. And so I think just taking, tackling a day by day. One of the first questions someone asked, because this is kind of just like a religious, like just big fun college Q&A. One of the first questions was, have you ever had a huge faith crisis? And I personally, so I've grown up, born and raised in the church that I'm in. And I think something with that is like, I feel like I can't really pivot at one specific moment where I was like, that was my biggest faith crisis. I think it's just more of challenges that come with living life and things that challenge your faith. But one of my favorite, did you listen to the talk by Elder Holland? He was like, faith would cease to be faith if it wasn't in crisis, because like that's,
I recognize that quote.
Yes, it was him and his wife. I think they were giving an address, but pretty much like the essence of faith is to not know things and to still continue believing and to have that trust that like God knows and understands. And so for me, I feel like I have had challenges in my faith, but I've had the understanding and like the giving myself the grace that it's okay to not know things and to have questions, but to take them to God. I feel like before I received my endowment, which was like part of a religious ceremony in our gospel, like I remember literally the month before I went, I full on like felt like I was struggling with doubts that like I'd never struggled with before, and it felt constant too. It was just like no matter what I was doing, I just felt like I felt dark like a lot. And I remember feeling really conflicted because I was like, is this because like, what I'm doing is not right? Is this like not the right time for me to receive my endowment? But I felt like I'd received confirmation that it was the right thing for me, so I ended up proceeding with receiving my endowment. This was in July of 2021, so it was like June when I was struggling a lot, but I ended up receiving my endowment, and it ended up being one of like the most beautiful, biggest blessings in my life, and I feel like it has drawn me so much closer to God. And so I think it's interesting that like before I made such a huge spiritual decision that impacted my life positively, like I felt a lot of negativity before proceeding with that decision. I mean, like I think honestly the adversary knows us very well, and he also knows when like we're about to do something great and something that's going to be like a wonderful thing in our life, and he's going to do everything he can to prevent that and to challenge it. So I have experienced faith crises, but I feel like I've always been able to work through them knowing that like that's the purpose of being here, is to have crises and to overcome them. So
definitely.
But yeah,
as you were talking, I thought of this quote. I was trying to pull it up. It's C.S. Lewis, who was like a Christian author. He has so many good quotes.
Love him.
But a quote that I heard sometime this year was, faith is the art of holding on to things in spite of your changing moods and circumstances.
Yeah.
And I love that quote because it's so true. I mean, we all grow up and we consider our values and our faith, but ultimately faith is like holding on to it. It's like gives you something to hold on to even when your life is changing and your circumstances are changing.
Exactly. It's also because faith isn't just a feeling, because if it was just a feeling, then it'd be so fleeting. It'd be like, well, I don't feel my faith right now, so it's like, then do I not have faith? And so I think it's one of the biggest like questions that can be the scariest too, is like, how do you act and behave when you don't feel anything? Like when you're not feeling the Spirit, or you're not feeling like super faithful. And that is where I know I am so imperfect, because like it's difficult to be completely obedient or to be like the best when you don't feel like it. So,
but for me, I think in terms of faith crises, I feel like I have faith and I have crises, you know, like there are hard times in my life where they may kind of overwhelm the peace that I feel from like God, but then ultimately the faith is what gets you through those crises, even when you're struggling.
Something I have a hard time fathoming is like, if you are having a crisis, specifically even a faith crisis, well, if you're just struggling with anything in life, removing faith out of it, I think would make it much worse.
Much harder.
So it's like, I don't see how that would be beneficial. But so that's kind of an answer to that question.
I mean, we could talk for forever and ever about.
This is supposed to be like a podcast video. Like, you're supposed to put it on when you're clean your room, because I doubt anyone's just gonna be sitting like staring intensely at us,
looking at our faces.
This is Ava and I's trial run to create a podcast.
Okay, seriously, we just were talking about.
We'll call it the AM podcast. So it's like the morning podcast.
We're like
Ava
10 republishes and we'll start a podcast.
I'm like, give this video a thumbs up and we'll do it. Someone is asking, okay, so a lot of people are asking how my boyfriend and I met, so I just think I'll answer it, because it's literally half the question.
You should.
Ava, do you want to talk about how you and your boyfriend met?
Save that for another time.
Save that for another time. Long story short, once again, this is like Utah culture, because it was very much like a Utah scenario, but living in our church, something that I actually really love that we do is we have YSAs, and so those are young single adult wards. So that pretty much means like geographically, based off of where you live and how old you are, they put you in a certain church where it's gonna be like similar people in your area and your age. So you're more like, so if you meet someone, then you're like, know that they're similar to your age and that they're like in a similar life situation. So it's kind of nice. So
They're
then
religious.
like, yeah, and so then the families are in their own church, and you can go wherever you want, but like that's how they organize it. So families are separate, and then like the young single adults are separate too.
Okay, you have like assigned times to meet with your group.
It was the beginning of January of 2023, so a year ago now. Well, it's been a year, that's weird. But a year ago, I walked into my ward, and it was my first Sunday there at church, and I walked in, and there was this cute boy with curly hair, and he was wearing a pink bow tie, and he had a mustache too, and I was like, mustache is such a Provo, Utah thing.
I'm not really a mustache fan personally.
Well, here's the thing. I don't feel like I was. But then I was like, oh, he's kind of pulling it off. It kind of looks cute.
The bow tie canceled it out.
Well, I was like, oh, okay. So then, anyway, I liked it. Okay, wait, hold on. Let's back up. Not it, him. Okay, let's back up. I thought he just was cute. And so that was how I remember first seeing him. So it then wasn't until a couple months later, it was end of February. Well, it's like end of February, beginning of March. We were actually at like a church activity throughout the week. It's called FHE. It's like, and he pretty much invited me to go roller skating in a group. And like, he didn't even get my number or anything. Like, he ended up getting off of the church website, and then he texted me. And then from there, it was like, we just started hanging out, and then we started going on dates.
The funniest thing is one of the first times we hung out was roller skating.
Roller skating is just the place to meet people. Like, my brother Nathan met his wife there.
For real?
Oh yeah, they literally were like,
at Classic?
I think they were just with a bunch of friends, and then Nathan and Kay were like by each other and started talking.
Marla's good at skating too.
So is Ava, so...
Marla's boyfriend is awesome. He's so sweet and amazing.
Oh.
And
it's true.
He looks like Andrew Garfield.
Guys, it's true. Literally, we were watching, we were watching Hacksaw Ridge with Andrew Garfield, and every time Andrew Garfield came on screen, I was like, but I'm like, don't worry, you look exactly like him. But I think my boyfriend's cuter than Andrew Garfield, but that's probably a little biased.
It's so fun too to see your friends like in happy relationships. It's so awesome.
It's so cute.
It's a fun time of life.
It's really fun. I think something though with social media, like, I've just chosen to be private about it, because first off, my boyfriend doesn't love social media, like being on it, and so I want to respect that, and I also like wanted to have a super publicized relationship, so it kind of just works out both ways. Yeah. But like, I don't mind talking about it, and
there are certain things that should be kept private.
I do think it can become super unhealthy when like, I'm always sussed out when relationships are so publicized. I think if I'm married, like, I'll probably be more open to sharing things, but like as of right now, I just like enjoy having it be private. So,
which is good.
Anyway, but he's so fun. So that's how we met, was pretty much in the singles ward a year ago now, which is crazy. Okay, how do you feel like your dating experiences in college have been?
That's a good question. I think BYU is unique because it brings in a lot of people from a lot of different places. Like, although it's college in Utah, there's people from all over. And so it's fun because you're meeting people who have been raised differently and in different places. And that makes your dating experiences very diverse. Ultimately, there is still a lot of boys here from Utah. And Utah dating culture is very different than anywhere else.
It's really weird.
And so when you come here and you realize like dating is a huge priority here, and people are really good at dating because they've been dating for a long time. And like if you go to a high school in Utah, you go to lots of date dances and you do
Did
a
they
lot
not
of...
do that in,
No.
like, is it just homecoming prom?
Yeah. And like I think dating is way more not like casual but like not official. Like people just kind of hang out and then you start dating them. Versus here it's like you do these big kind of elaborate things and like people, like I said, people are just good at dating.
People pair off quickly.
Yeah.
Like they go on a few dates and then they're dating.
Yeah. I think it's been interesting to go out with different people and see what their styles of dating are just from different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Like, or even different parts of Utah.
Did you ever date much in Virginia?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it was very different?
Definitely, yeah, it was definitely different. Like, because not everyone in Virginia had the same religious standards as me. And so...
That'd be difficult.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool to date here with people who are members of the same church as me because we have a lot in common, like as a baseline.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hopefully you're like, we're a little bit... I know some couples that are like interfaith relationships, and it's actually really beautiful to see the way that they like have such respect for each other's views. Even sometimes like more so than I see when like couples in the same religion.
Yeah.
Like it almost
This
seems
is
more
true.
routine for them to be living their values. There's one specific interreligious couple that I know, and I feel like it's really cool seeing them interact with each other.
Yeah.
And like the way they're both equally passionate about their beliefs, but they like coexist with each other, which I think is really neat.
Totally.
But I think something that I feel like I have taken for granted is like I assume most of the people I go on dates with have similar morality and like values to me, which I do feel like is something that's a priority for me, is to be somewhat on the same page.
Yeah, but it's just been cool for me to date back east and date here and be able to see what's similar and what's different and just have a wide variety of experience. Like, I think a big part of dating is just gaining experience, so.
I personally feel like dating for me, because I feel like I've gone on a ton of dates, and I feel like Ava, you have too. Ultimately though, all those dates, it's not that I was like, oh, I got to know all these boys. Because honestly, most of the days didn't go past like a second or third date because I just didn't.
Yeah, or like if you're getting ice cream real quick with somebody, you're not really digging deeper.
You're not digging deep, yeah. But I feel like ultimately I was getting to know myself. Like I feel like I was like, oh, like kind of realizing like I actually kind of like this more, or like I enjoy talking about this more, or yeah, this is actually some of my more interests. And so I feel like I gained a lot more confidence from going on dates, not because necessarily these dates were working out, but because I just feel like it gave me like literally good conversation skills.
Yeah, and you get to know yourself better too when you're having to like elevator pitch yourself to other people. I feel like
it's literally like a business pitch. I'm like, hi, this is me.
This is me. This is what I like. This is where I'm from.
Yeah, and so I think it teaches you to be good at those conversations, which is honestly good for even just like business skills of like, hi, I can introduce myself well because I've done this on 30 dates. You know?
I've had friends come visit me here from other schools and other places and from back home, and I think a lot of them are like, the dating culture here is cool because you get to meet lots of people, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, there are pros and cons to it, but there's a lot of pros.
A lot of cons.
A lot of cons.
A lot of cons. A lot of pros. And I just think also, like, when people talk about Utah negatively, like, I don't get offended. Like, I don't really care because it's just a place.
Yeah.
But I think something specifically when it comes to Utah culture, if someone's really struggling with it, I think it's also the people that you're surrounding yourself within your inner circle.
It's true.
And I think anywhere that you live, like, if you have a good, solid group of, like, great friends that like, are similar, because I think it's healthy to have friends that think differently than you, but if everyone can, like, respect each other, then, like, I don't really think you're going to feel very affected by the culture. But if you're, like, always being surrounded by people that are shoving that down your throat, then obviously you're gonna feel awful.
And no matter where you go to college, I think the number one thing is finding people you click with and that you can relate to, so that when you go through hard times and changes, especially in your 20s, you have people to lean on.
Yeah, exactly. And so these just things like that. Ava, if you had one piece of advice for someone moving away to go to college, what would you say?
Kind of what I was saying. I think you have to, when you're far away from your family, you have to find family within your friends and the people around you. And that's not only like looking for people that will help you, but like being that friend to other people. I think for me, I'm from a big family, and I grew up being like family member or like friend to the people in my family. And so coming to college, when I was struggling, I tried to do that to other people.
For other people.
Like not just have friends, but be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how you have this strong network of people that can help you when you're homesick or when you feel sad. And so friendships are...
There's other people feeling similarly.
Exactly.
You know, like you're not the only person that's moving away from college.
And I don't know, like friendships are really important to me in my life. So that there's something I prioritize.
Ava's so good at that. I feel like I will forget to just text anyone for like 9 months. And then it was like, hey, are you still alive? I'm like, oh my gosh, hi.
It's so funny.
But I also feel like I have a lot of respect for people that I feel like are low maintenance friendships where like you can individually like live your lives, understand that people are busy and have things going on, but you can still just enjoy when you are able to meet up.
And you know that you can rely on them if you ever do need something.
Them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is really great. So I think, that advice I think is universal. Like if you want to, you know, if you're missing someone or if you're experiencing like these struggles, like reaching outside of yourself is probably the best way to be the cure-all, at least temporarily, of like, because it gets you outside of your own head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go play the piano tonight in an assisted living care center.
Marla's so wholesome.
No, it's just like
so wonderful.
It's just random but kind of fun.
I mean, we could talk a little bit how we were both on Accutane. I know you've talked about that a decent amount.
No, but let's talk about it more.
We're like, look at our skin.
Look at our skin. Ava is the one that recommended me my dermatologist. Okay.
We had different side effects, but the one similar one we had was the hair one. Mm-hmm. Like I just lost some of the thickness in my hair.
Yeah, the density.
But I think we both agreed that like we would do Accutane again.
Yeah, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, well, because of the results, but also because I feel like I had exhausted all my other options.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, I'm ready to just really buckle down.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was really cool what a good example you were of like acne journey on the internet. Because I think
I'm just literally posting my whole soul.
But people don't talk about that enough. But it's something that like literally everybody experiences, unless you're like one of the lucky few. Mm-hmm. And so it's cool to see different people's journeys. Not even with Accutane, but just with acne in general.
Even now, I don't feel like, obviously, acne, hopefully is a thing of the past. I'm sure I'm going to, like, struggle with it from time to time, but, like, hopefully it's never as bad as it was. Mm-hmm. But I do think something that I think is funny is, like, I feel like I'm now, like, to a place where I appreciate my skin and it looks, like, good enough for me.
Yeah.
And I still appreciate when other people post about their pimples.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I still find it refreshing. Like, another girl, I don't know if you know who Natalie is on TikTok. Natalie, I don't know her last name, but she's, like, from Florida. She's, like, cute, super cute.
Yes, yes. She's married, right?
Yes.
And her last name's, like, a Z.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that you know who I'm talking about. She's adorable, but the other day, literally just, like, a couple days ago, she posted that she had picked her skin at night, and then it looked really bad the next morning. But I feel like I'm, like, saw that and I really appreciated it because I know that's such a relatable thing that I have done. So
it's a universal experience.
I've so many times, especially growing up, like I really struggled. I would just pick my skin at night and then the next morning it'd be like so bad, but then I would feel so ugly too. And so seeing someone that's so cute and adorable like her post about that, I'm like, oh, that's really refreshing.
Same.
You know, it's just nice. Like, she's still beautiful. Her skin's gonna be clear probably in a few days again, but it was just refreshing seeing something of... I struggle with that too.
Yeah.
You know?
I think this is kind of a tangent, but people on social media, it seems like content creators and content consumers seem to get further and further apart, where it's like the people watching are very living very different lives than the people that they are watching.
The people creating.
Yeah, so I like...
people consuming.
I love moments where you feel closer to the people whose content you're consuming because you're like, wait, this is super relatable and similar.
Yeah.
And it's like you feel like you're part of something.
It's hard, like, balancing, like, I want to have privacy in my life, but I also want to share, you know, things that, like, I feel like acne for me was something that I really did not mind sharing at all, which I'm grateful.
Yeah.
But I didn't, because I think I also had such hope that, like, Accutane would work, that I'm like, you know, I'll look back at these. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, I have been seeing on TikTok a lot of people being, like, stop being so selfish with your content. Like, stop saying, like, day in the life of me, or, like, what I eat, or, like, this is my outfit. Provide value for people, and do your best to be your authentic self, because I think more and more people are becoming frustrated with the gap of, like...
100%.
Influencers being so out of touch. Mm-hmm. And I think there's always going to be kind of a gap since it is such a unique job that, like, if someone's never worked outside of that. So even just, like, Natalie posting that, I appreciated that. Should we just do rapid fire?
That's what I'm like, we gotta hit some.
Okay. What do you do when you have no motivation?
Good question.
One word.
I think I try to do, like, a creative hobby or something before I do the hard thing.
That's good.
Because, like, when you're struggling to find motivation to do, like, hard things in your life, you gotta either, like, romanticize it or, like, give yourself a break to do something you love. Like,
that's true.
Read a book, listen to your favorite music.
For me, it's literally just working out. Like, getting my body moving. And then I'm like, oh, like, I don't feel feel as gross, you know? Because usually when I feel super unmotivated, it's because I haven't moved in a while.
That's a good one.
Fave class you've taken in college?
Ooh, I took a philosophy class that I loved.
That would have been fun.
So interesting, especially when you're at a religious school. Like, it's really cool learning about philosophy and then, like,
learning about gospel doctrine.
And relating them and also comparing and contrasting them. But it's cool to go to college and take classes on unique topics.
That's really fun. One of my favorite classes was actually one of my first semesters at UVU, and I took it with my sister Evelyn, and it was a family and relationship science class, so you learned about the science of like why people behave the way they do in relationships.
So cool.
And it was fun because Evelyn was in it too, so like we were just taking it together. So that one was really fun. Genuinely curious, why do members of LDS church get married young? I have my hot takes, but I don't think there's a one size fits all like answer for that. I think every couple's reason is very different. I do think a lot of couples, you know, they feel like really right about it, and I feel like this would take a long time to answer, but ultimately I just feel like there is like a huge strong marriage culture. So once someone finds someone that they like enough, but no, like maybe they genuinely feel like they love them and they feel like they've been confirmed that it's right.
Yeah.
So then they just proceed with it. I feel like there's a lot of relationships that are just like very faith filled, and they're like, we're just gonna make this work and honor our commitment and move forward. I also do think that there probably has to be something to do with like the sexual culture of like not having sex before marriage. I just think that has to play somewhat of a factor in.
Yeah.
But I also just think ultimately every couple's timeline is so different, and I think something that's so rude and so disrespectful is when people are haters to other people about like them getting married.
And there are people in and out of religion that get married quick or get married young. Like, everyone in different relationships has different timelines.
Exactly, and I think ultimately there's what you think from an outside perspective, but like you just never know the dynamics of someone's relationship with someone else, and so you can't accurately judge or assess of like if it's good or not that they're getting married. Especially if their decision already is made to get married, then it's like stop trying to like you're not gonna change their mind. Yeah, like they're making up their mind. So you could like be nice, and obviously if you're a loved one and you see like huge red flags, then like, you know, address that appropriately. But
it is a personal decision.
I think ultimately it's a personal decision, so I can't really even answer why so many people get married young. I think it's just if they feel ready, then like people proceed with it.
Yeah.
Best pickup line to start a conversation with a cute boy.
My favorite thing is just being like, are you gonna ask for my number?
Oh, like putting it on them. You're just like, so are you gonna pick up the slack and start talking to me, or what's going on?
Once again, I'm just exposing myself on the internet, but...
Have you done that before?
Oh yeah, totally.
That's kind of cute. It's
after
like,
a conversation with somebody, if you're like getting along, you should be like, are you gonna ask for my number?
That's true. Like if you've been talking for a little bit.
Yeah. And then they're like, sure. I think confidence is just attractive. And even if you don't feel like you have a lot of it, like one line like that, it gives you a little bit of a rush too.
Yes, you have to deliver it well though. Because if you're like, are you gonna get my number? Like you have to be like, so are you gonna get my number or what?
Yeah.
I'm a hot commodity.
Because you are, girl.
You are, well. Do you ever think you'll stop making videos? I don't know, Ava. What do you think?
I'm like, no, I'll never stop making videos.
Someone's like, not a request. I'm just asking. I think there's probably gonna come a day where like I don't like come out and say like I'm done making videos. I just think it'll probably happen, or I just like stop.
Well, you'll be living your own life, and
yeah. So I think it just kind of, but like for the foreseeable future, I feel like if I'm able to make it a video occasionally, then I don't know why I wouldn't.
It's gonna be like 80-year-old Marla in the nursing home. Like,
do you ever feel left behind in college? Like you're just behind in life?
Yes.
All
I think
the time.
There's always like a rush culture. Everyone's always going to be like, why aren't you graduated yet? Why haven't you picked your major? Why aren't you married yet or dating someone yet? And that's just going to exist forever. Like every time you hit a milestone, there's going to be people being like, are you ready
what
for the
about
next?
Yeah, like well, I do think that also is difficult with Utah, where like there are such huge life decisions such as marriage, having babies, and then there's people younger than you that have done both. And you're like, oh
This
my
is true.
gosh, like I'm behind, and we're both literally in our early 20s.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not behind. Even I just think best piece of advice that I need to remind myself of and of other people is like stop comparing your timeline to someone else's.
So true.
Also being religious and understanding that like God does have great plans in store for each child, and so if you're constantly comparing like someone else's plan to yours, it's like you're just completely undermining and underselling yourself.
Yeah.
Good things that you have in front of you. Like that type of energy can be devoted into actually like making things happen in your life.
I think that's something I've struggled with, especially recently though, of feeling that life timeline pressure. And so like if anyone's feeling that right now, I totally get you. And like, it's something you have to actively resist, to be like, no, I'm moving at the exact speed I'm supposed to be. And like, I'm going to reach the goals and things I want in the time I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to let other people make me feel like I'm moving slow.
And also, like, so I think too with that, like Ava's saying, is feeling down about yourself or feeling like, oh, I feel a little behind, that's not an indicator that you actually are.
It's true.
That's just a feeling.
That's very true.
Like, that is not, now that means like everything you're thinking is, that's actually true. Like, you actually are behind, you actually are failing, and you're actually never gonna figure it out. Like, those are just bad feelings.
Yeah, they don't necessarily correlate.
Like, so I think it's okay to feel that way, but not to remain there. And then once again, assert power of like, okay, I acknowledge that thought and it is negative, but like, what am I gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And then moving forward.
And I'm gonna keep going.
I'm gonna keep it going. Do you feel like it was hard to find a friend group in college?
Yes. Okay, something I will say, which maybe this is controversial, I'm kind of like...
You look out the window when you say
I'm kind of like anti-clique. Like, I think people, when they go to college, they're like, I have to find my 6 best friends, and we're all gonna be this little squad, and like...
Be very exclusive.
Yes.
Like, these are my ride or die best friends.
Yeah, and I think that puts pressure on yourself and on other people to be like, oh, I'm at college, I need to meet my friends, and we'll be totally fine.
Commit to me.
Exactly. Like, oh, we're gonna make a group chat, and we're gonna be ride or dies forever. I'm kind of anti that, because I think it can be exclusive to other people, and it can really limit your opportunities to meet people.
That's true.
So I always am like, I want to keep making more friends and making a bigger group and knowing each other, and then ultimately you gravitate towards certain people. I was about to say, then those type of people just come, because I do feel like there's pressure of like, even just parents being like, oh, like my best friend's in college, and then that kind of like subconsciously you're like, well, I need to find my best friends in college. But putting that pressure on, once again, is not productive, because it's like, that pressure is not going to find you a friend. Like, but going out and just being open to like meeting all different types of people and like having different experiences, like that naturally you will gravitate and
towards
going back
people.
to what I said, like, be a friend. That's my big thing. It's like, you want to find friends, be a friend, and keep being a friend. You don't just be a friend until you find 4 girls. Like,
Preach. Well, it's also sad when I do feel like I've seen people where they're so down about like their friend situation, but then I'm like, okay, but have you been a good friend?
Yeah.
Like, are you reaching out? Are you? And like, it's not always, obviously there's certain things that are beyond people's circumstances, but I often think there's so much power in yourself that like you have capacity to go and reach out and find other people's like feeling similar to you. Like,
we can always be better and improve. I love this. I love chatting with you. On camera, off camera.
We have good conversations. Ava and I talk about we need like a minimum of 3 hours if we're hanging out, because like an hour just doesn't cut it.
No.
There's just too much.
Too much to say.
Where do you see yourself living when you're older?
That's also a good question. Going back to the fact that I'm like from the East and I now live in the West.
Yeah.
I love East Coast culture. I love the East Coast.
Where you live too, so pretty. Like, seriously gorgeous. So
yeah, I love the green in like Virginia, and DC has so much history. I could talk about it forever. But I think that
I had such a fun time.
I think I feel pretty open-minded to where I'm gonna live when I'm older, because I've loved living in both places. But for me, I just want to live in a city. Like,
that'd be fun.
Need to be
You're
close to a
city girl, for sure. I personally, I don't have much preference. I feel like when I get married, like, they're my family now. Like, my husband's my family, my kids are gonna be my family. So if we need to go out of state, then like, I'll go. I don't really have much preference too, because I also don't have a ton of family, extended family. And so it's not like there's like this whole network of family in Utah. Like, I have like one set of cousins that I kind of care about. Yeah. Not kind of care about. Like, you know what I like? I would love to live close by to them, but if it's not realistic, then I'm not that attached to staying in Utah. So I could see myself in Utah when I'm older, but I could also see myself like, I don't know, somewhere
I think it's good to live in different places and experience different cultures.
For sure. Once again, I feel like I'm more attached to the idea of where my family is versus an actual specific state. Yeah. Do you have any last words before we rest in peace?
I don't know. I just think I love meeting other people that are like girls in their 20s who are experiencing all these changes, and like I said, the variety of the questions show how much
everyone's
you're
experiencing
dealing
such
with
different things. Yeah.
And it can all feel a lot, but it's fun to meet good friends. You can have good conversations.
I just think ultimately, I personally have loved doing social media, and the aspect of it's brought together so many different girls that are so similar to our situations.
Yep.
And I think it's so fun to have this small community of like girls where everyone can just talk and chat, and I hope that even today like something resonated with you guys. But yeah, Ava, you're the best. And Ava, literally, I'm just so happy that I went to your birthday party as a special guest, which was so awkward.
Happy 19th to me.
No, literally, Ava made it so normal that I was like, oh, I'm like, she's super cute.
Well, I mean, I totally didn't see it like that. I was like, oh, I'm meeting a friend.
Exactly. And so I felt more weird about it than what it actually was. And so then we ended up going to Zumba together, and they were shaking our booties in the air, and then from there our friendship evolved.
And now we're besties.
Now we're besties for the besties. So, but I hope you guys have such a wonderful day, and if you have any more things you want to chat about, we can chat about in the comments. Ava will be there too in her
podcast coming soon.
So we'll catch you guys later. Have a good day. Bye. Okay, ready? We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, go.